If the stock market dropped 30% over the next few months, would you stay calm or would you start making changes? Because here's the truth. Most investors don't panic because markets fall. They panic because they don't understand what's happening while it's happening. And when you don't understand it, you react, you sell, you hesitate, and you wait too long to get back in. And those decisions can cost you years of compounding. In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what happens to your portfolio during a market crash, step by step, so when it happens again, and it will happen, you're ready. Hello, fellow compounders. I'm Chen, CFA charter holder, former hedge fund manager, and Wharton MBA. Welcome back. Before we start, a quick disclaimer. This video is for educational purposes only, not financial advice. Investing involves risk, and all examples are hypothetical and for illustration only. Always do your own research. Segment 1. It starts quietly. Market crashes don't begin with chaos. They begin quietly, almost invisibly. Maybe interest rates rise. Maybe inflation stays sticky. Maybe something breaks under the surface. Maybe there's a war. At first, the market drifts lower. Down 2%, down 5%, down 8%. If you started with $1 million, you are now at about $920,000. You notice it, but you don't react. You tell yourself, this is normal. And you're right, because this phase happens all the time. But here's what matters. Every major crash in history started exactly like this. But when something changes, this is where the discomfort begins. Segment 2, the correction, 10 to 15%. Now that the market is down 10%, maybe 15%, your $1 million portfolio is around $850,000 to $900,000. Now you're paying attention. You check your account more frequently. You read more headlines. You start asking yourself, is this different? But you still don't act. You're uneasy. You're still patient. This is a stage where your intellect is still in control, but your emotions are starting to wake up. And when the drop continues, emotions begin to take over. Segment 3, the acceleration, 20 to 30%. Now we enter a bear market, down 20% or more. Your $1 million is now $700,000 to $800,000. This is where it becomes real. This is where your internal dialogue changes. You are no longer saying, this is normal. Now you're thinking, what if this keeps going on? What if I lose half my money? You start imagining outcomes, worst case scenarios, and this is where behavior begins to split. Some investors stay disciplined, others begin to act. And the actions feel small at first. I'll just trim a little, I'll raise a bit of cash. But those small decisions often lead to bigger ones later. Because the next phase is where logic gets overwhelmed. Segment 4, the panic phase, 30 to 50% down. Now, we are in the phase everyone remembers. This is where fear dominates. The market is down 30%, 40%, sometimes more. Your $1 million portfolio is now $600,000, maybe even $500,000. And now the emotional pressure is intense. You wake up, you check the market, it is down again. The news is worse. Experts are predicting recession. You start thinking, I should have done something earlier. I can't let this drop any further. I need to protect what's left. And this is the moment most investors break. Not because they're irrational, because they are human. They sell. But here is the part almost no one understands. Selling does not reduce risk. It locks in damage. Segment 5, real world example, 2008 and 2020, plus the recovery time. Let's ground this in reality. In 2008, during the financial crisis, the market fell about 50%. It took over a year to reach the bottom. And at the time, it felt like the entire financial system might collapse. But here's what most people forget. It took about 4 to 5 years for the market to fully recover and reach new highs. That feels like a long time emotionally. But in the context of long-term investing, it's just a phase. Now let's look at March 2020. The market dropped about 34% in just a matter of weeks. The speed was shocking. The uncertainty was extreme. Remember, it was COVID. But the recovery, the market fully recovered in about 5 months. One of the fastest recoveries in history. And here is the key insight. In both cases, the bottom did not feel like opportunity. It felt like danger. And most investors, they did not buy. They waited. And that waiting is where long-term damage begins. Segment 6, the bottom that no one recognizes. Here is one of the most important truths. The bottom never feels like the bottom. It feels uncertain, unclear, uncomfortable. And that is why most investors miss it, because they're waiting to feel confident again. But confidence only returns after prices go up. Segment 7, the recovery that most miss. That market begins to recover, quietly at first, then faster, and history shows something very important. A large portion of long-term returns comes from a small number of very strong days. And many of those days happen right after the bottom, when fear is still high. So, if you're out of the market, you miss them. And missing those days is devastating. Segment 8, the permanent damage and the timing trap. Let's go to our two investor example. Investor A stays invested. Investor B sells during the crash. Now, selling feels smart. It feels like you're reducing risk. But here's the trap. To successfully time the market, you do not just have to be right once. You have to be right twice. You have to sell at the right time, first, and then buy back at the right time, second. And both decisions have to be correct. That's incredibly difficult to do because when markets are falling, it feels like they will keep falling. And when markets are rising, it feels like you already missed it. So what happens? Most investors sell late and they buy back even later. They lock in losses and they miss the recovery. That is why time in the market beats timing the market. Let's make a quick pause here. If you want help staying calm during crashes, let me tell you this. Understanding what happens during a crash is one thing. Living through it is something else entirely. Because when your portfolio is down and the headlines are negative and everything feels uncertain, it's very hard to stay disciplined on your own. That is one of the reasons I created the Always Be Compounding Club. It is a place where long-term investors come together to stay grounded, to ask questions, and to focus on what actually matters. We have sessions like Coffee with the Chief Compounder, live Q&A sessions, and portfolio discussions. So instead of reacting to fear, you are making decisions with clarity. If you want to check it out, you can join for free using the link in the description below. By the way, when you join, you will have free access to a market crash checklist. Now let's get back to timing the market. This becomes even more dangerous when you're in retirement. Segment 9, sequence of return risk. Let me give you a simple example. Two retirees, same portfolio, same average returns, but different timing. One experiences a crash early in retirement while withdrawing money. The other experiences it later. The result? The first may never recover. The second likely does. That is the sequence of returns risk. Segment 10, the real lesson. So, what actually happens during a market crash? It is not just that prices are falling. It's a test of discipline, a test of patience, a test of behavior. And the investors who succeed are not the ones who predict crashes. They are the ones who are prepared for them. In the next video, I'm going to show you exactly what smart investors do during market crashes. A simple, practical playbook that you can follow when things get difficult. If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe and join our community of long-term investors focused on building real wealth. And remember, the key to building wealth is to always be compounding. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Take care.